All right, everybody, welcome back to Peak Esports Episode 2. I am your host, Revenant, and today I'm going to be covering Week 1 of Major 4 Qualies. So we got a lot to go over today, so let's just take a look what we got on tap tonight. So first off, we're going to start off with the power rankings, see how some things have shifted, what teams have moved up, what teams moved down. This will be a normal Monday night segment. I know this is coming out on a Tuesday, but hopefully they'll be coming out on Mondays. Then we got Team of the Weekend. So I'm not going to be like picking a team or anything. I'm just going to highlight a specific team that I think needs to be highlighted that shows a little more promise than what they have in the past. And then we have I got a segment this week called The Raven in the Room. If you can take a wild guess, that's about the London Royal Ravens. We'll be talking about them for a minute. We're going to take a look at the Rokkr situation. We're going to talk about them for a minute because I gave them a lot of crap last Thursday. And then we are going to take a look at the Vivid situation. Vivid got dropped last night while I was writing all this up. So we'll take a look at that, and then we'll go over. And then finally, we'll take a look at the matches that happened this weekend, some big takeaways, maybe some things to watch out for. So let's get into it. Let's just jump right into it. So first off, we're going to go right into power rankings, and we're going to start at 12 like we always do. At number 12 this week, we got London. London goes 0-2 this weekend. They're going down 2 spots from their former 10 spot. And then coming in at number 11, we have Florida. Florida going down 2 spots. Number 11, LAG goes up 1, but that's more because Florida and London went down. Not because they outperformed Florida and London. Number 9, Rokkr is going to move up 3 from 12. I still don't think Rokkr could. I don't think Rokkr is up there yet, but they showed some improvement. They showed that they have potential, so they're going to move up a bunch. Boston Breach coming in at number 8, and the Breach are only going down a spot. They beat Ultra, but they're going down a spot more because other things have shifted and they got pushed down instead of going up. Number 7, the Las Vegas Legion. They had some new life in them this weekend. They looked really good. If they can keep that up, then they're going to be a team not to mess with. They moved up 1 from their last spot, and the Breach moved down 1. And then coming in at number 6, we have FaZe. FaZe are down 3 from their 3 spot. They do go 1-1 this weekend. 2 game 5s, but they just look like they're struggling a little bit. And I think the other top teams right now would beat them if they played them today. So FaZe go down a couple spots. Surge goes down 1, and Surge goes down 1 mainly because other teams are moving up, and they go 1-1 this weekend. So Surge still look really good. They need a couple improvements, but we'll talk about that when we get there. And then New York's going to go up 2. They're coming off a big FaZe win. I was wrong about them. I thought they might need a couple weeks to shake off the dust. They did not. Thieves are coming in at number 3. Thieves go up 2 from their previous 5 spot to number 3. Thieves look really good. They 3-0 London, which that's normal. And then they 3-1 Seattle, so they had a good series against Seattle. Thieves have a really good team, and when they're clicking, they're hard to beat. Let's see. And then number 2, we have Ultra. Ultra goes down 1. Ultra goes 0-2, but they almost reverse sweep both times. So they're still in good shape. They just couldn't close it out. So if that continues, though, where they keep losing, then they're going to keep falling. But for right now, they're only going down 1. And then number 1, Optic. Optic Texas are going to go to number 1. Optic looked really, really good. They looked really loose in that London game, and if they can look like that all the time against other teams, I don't think anybody's beating them. That looked like a scary team to beat. So let's go run back through it one more time just so we got everything. So we have London at 12, Florida at 11, LAG at 10, Rokkr at 9, Breach at 8, Vegas 7, FaZe 6, Surge 5, New York 4, Thieves 3, Ultra 2, Optic 1. So that's going to be the power rankings, and that's going to be who would be favored over who, not necessarily who the better team on paper is at this very moment. So without further ado, let's get into the next segment of the video. So we've got Team of the Weekend. So, team of the weekend is a team that I just want to highlight that showed some improvement or they showed pure domination. But this team is more improvement. So, the Las Vegas Legion are going to be my winners of team of the weekend. They only played one match, but they looked like a completely different team. Ooh, excuse me. They looked very, very good against Boston. They were hammering Breach in that first hardpoint. They fumbled a little bit. They almost bottled it, but they were able to break into P2, pick up the kills, and get that last second of time. So that's big from them. They win the S&D. They lose the control, which is normal out of them. But if Vegas play like that, Standy and Tej can play like that together, and they build some chemistry and they learn how to play better with each other. That Vegas team is scary. I'd watch out for that team because not nobody, but if you've got two SMGs consistently dropping 30 in respawns, then I don't think that any other team could keep up with that. Let me rephrase. Sorry. Their chances are going to increase if Standy and TJ can play like that consistently. Not that they're going to be unbeatable. That team is still Vegas is still kind of mid tier, but if they're two guys that they need to pop off, they can make a run for the chip. You never know. Also, a big mention to TJ, who's really been like an S&D player for them for the most part of the series. I mean, he drops 38 in that first hardpoint. And if he can play like that consistently, not dropping 38, but have consistently good hard points, then Vegas can start winning series and they could chase the Rokkr very, very easily. So if everything keeps up with the Legion, watch out for them. They're coming for that 8th spot. They're coming for that 7th spot. You know Clay wants it. Standy, new, younger guy, wants it too. So just keep an eye on Vegas. Watch them climb. All right. Let's go to the next segment. The next segment is the Raven in the Room. This is a tough one to get into because I feel bad for London, but they just do not look good. They got 3-0'd in both their matches. They looked like a ranked team out there that somehow made it into. But they looked like a ranked team out there this weekend. That the new player Yuli didn't seem to help them that much. Didn't make much of a difference. And I think a big problem with that is Yuli's an SMG. He joins the team, and they make Nasty, their other SMG player, switch from an SMG to an AR. He's flexing AR, but that's still a completely different role. And Nasty was a pretty nasty SMG player. He was probably their best player. ASM is good too, but when your system changes that rapidly, that quickly, that's going to be hard to adapt to when the other teams are not doing that. When the other teams aren't switching making roster moves and making players switch positions, basically. Nasty's in a different role, which he could thrive in. You never know. But they go 0-6 and they won like 2 rounds total. Like they didn't even come close to winning a map. They hold the record. They hold the record for lowest score in a professional hardpoint game now, which is 68. Optic did that to him map 1. Yuli looks solid, but London does not. So they just do not look like they're competing with the other teams. And it's sad to see. I mean, they're a pro team. They can beat. I mean, I think any top 11 team could beat the other, any of the 12 teams could beat each other except London. London looks horrid. That was one of the worst showings I think I've ever seen from a team. And now that we're about to hit Major 4 in 3 weeks, I believe, about a month, 3 weeks or a month. They are going to watch out because that axe is coming down, the Champs Contention axe, and I think it hit them this weekend. I think starting off 0-2 and you're 8 games back from 8th with Vegas and Rokkr probably going to battle it out for that spot. for the rest of the season. Maybe Breach fall down a little bit, but that 8th spot is very contested. And with 50 points in the CDL, you're not going to make it. So as of right now, London are out of contention in my mind. I don't think they make a comeback. I don't think they they might sit in 12th the whole rest of the year. So that's where London is. Excuse me. London looks rough. They're out of champs. Let's go to next. So let's talk about the Minnesota Rokkr this past weekend. They go 2-0 in their home series, which is on LAN, and the teams agreed to play with sound EQ on. So that kind of levels the playing field for the players instead of, 2 people having on the one team for online and one person has it on the other. It's just like you can't regulate that stuff. It's hard to keep up. So it's honestly probably better that they just played with it on. Their 2 wins were against bottom 4 teams, but they still beat 2 other pro teams. Their roster change, contrary to London, looks like it's helping them. Fame looks really good. He was probably their best player this series. He was positive every map. He was in good positions. Other than his Joe Deceives moment where he just looked at him for 10, 15 seconds on the map, and then Joe Deceives killed him. But that was a rough one. But he was tunnel visioned on a guy on the other plat. I mean, it happens. But that was his one blunder that I can recall. He had a really good weekend. The Rokkr look much better than what I stated Thursday. I predicted them to go 0-2 this weekend against Florida and LAG, but they looked really good. They 3-0'd Florida and they 3-1'd LAG. So I want to see them play online, and I want to see them play like a top 8 team. See how they do, because that could they could fumble the bag real hard, but I think the two wins at their home series are going to help carry momentum into their next games. But they do play New York, FaZe, and Thieves for the next one, so that's a tough stretch. But if they beat New York, and then they're more likely to beat FaZe, and if they beat FaZe, then they're more likely to beat Thieves. They could go 5-0 this split, or they could go 2-3. So, or even going 3-2 is more improvement than 0-5. So, Rokkr, they're on the might win list, the watch list as well. I think Rokkr are fun to watch. I think they're a good team. They just haven't been able to show it. Haven't been able to close the deal on anything recently. So just keep an eye on Rokkr. If they're playing with sound EQ on though, and then you go play with it on, or if you make it to the major and you play with that off, that's going to throw you off, I feel like. So you never know, but Fame looked really good. Rokkr looked better. I think this was the right move for them. It seemed like a weird move at the time, but they look like they're improved. So Rokkr, Vegas are on the watch list. And then last night, actually, I was writing some of this stuff up, and Vivid gets dropped by Boston out of nowhere. It seems like. I mean, I didn't know Boston were thinking about making a roster change. It seems like the wrong move to me, but I was also wrong about Too Real being the right person to drop for Vegas. So I could be wrong again here. But Vivid is a solid SMG player. It just seems weird to drop your player this late in the series and not sign another pro player, sign a Challengers player that has not played in the pros yet. So, I mean, you never know. Kremp could be like AW Scumpy. He could be that good, and we just don't know it. But that's highly unlikely. Boston looked like they got better when they picked up Beans and Methods retired. So they could get better. I just don't see it happening immediately. I think they're in a London situation, not necessarily switching roles, but having somebody new on your team, switching, that could be tough. Vivid, I don't know why Vivid, though. I think Vivid deserves to be on a spot somewhere. I think he's proven that he's a pretty viable SMG player. So, but he could be helped somewhere else. I don't. The three places I thought of when he could find a spot would be London, Seattle, or LAG. But two of those, London is in very, very last right now. I don't think anybody wants to go play for London. It's like it would be like playing for the Jets the past 10 years. Um, LAG is closing operations at the end of this year, like I've said before. So there's not much to play for there other than you get a spot and you might get to show off how good you are. But and then I'm still on the train that Pred needs help in Seattle. I think if you cut Mac and pick up Vivid, I think Seattle gets better. That's just my opinion. Seattle's the only place I could see him landing that would make sense. I think Mac is just too inconsistent. So, Vivid has proven he deserves a spot. I don't think he's going to find a spot this year. I feel like teams usually get pretty set. And like if Boston cuts somebody, they're going to promote somebody from their challengers teams, from their academy teams, to play play for them instead of trying to sign somebody else. So I think Vivid's going to be out for the rest of this year probably. I think he deserves a spot. It seems like a weird move out of nowhere. So I hope it's the right move for Boston, but it sucks for Vivid, and I hope he finds a spot. So let's move on to the next segment. So my prediction record from Thursday was 2-1 Friday. I had a good start, and then I went 0-4 Saturday and 2-1 Sunday. So I went 4-6. I had a pretty good start and end to the weekend, not a good middle of the weekend. Let's go to Breach versus Vegas. That's game number 1 of the weekend. The Vegas Legion look very, very good. They almost bottled that first hardpoint, but they were able to get it done, and they were able to take the next hardpoint. And the only map they lost was the Control, which is probably going to happen for most of their series. But if they can win both hardpoints and one of the S&Ds, they're a contender for sure. Now they're in 9th, so they have to keep up with the Rokkr, but I think they have a better chance of getting top 8 than the Rokkr altogether. Because if Legion somehow win out and win 5 games, and then or win 5 total this split, and then Rokkr lose the rest of their next 3 games, Vegas will be ahead by 1 game, I believe, 1 or 2 games. So Vegas looking good. Standy immediately makes them look better. TJ looks better with Standy. So right move there, and I hope they keep getting better because Vegas is a fun team to watch. But the next game, this is a pretty boring one. Thieves versus London. Thieves 3-0 them. Not really a surprise here. Thieves run through the Royal Ravens, and they didn't stand a chance really. So that was a pretty boring one to watch. Then game number 3, FaZe versus New York. I had my games mixed up. I thought they were playing Sunday, and FaZe Florida was Friday, but I had it mixed up in my head. But New York, a little surprising here for me. Not that they're a bad team. I just thought playing FaZe, first game off their top 12 at the major, would have been rough for them. They would have been playing a little frustrated, but they tightened it down, won both hardpoints and won an S&D, which is big. New York, definitely a contender for sure. I don't think anybody's doubting that. They took a hotel off of FaZe, which is their best map, so that was surprising. Hotel hardpoint. They were able to take Game 5 S&D, so FaZe don't look as good in S&D as they did before the Major 3. And they look beatable in S&D now, where they were on like a 13-game win streak. I know Ultra was the one to break that, but they lost one to New York and they lost one to Florida this weekend. So FaZe looked beatable, and they looked pretty frustrated out there this weekend. They were turning a little red. So if you can make FaZe frustrated, I think they could fall real quick. Maybe not real quick. They're pretty far ahead of everybody, but I think FaZe could slowly slip down the ranks. They're not going to miss out on top 8. They're not like that. They're not going to miss champs, but they could miss out on 1 seed, 2 seed, whatever if they keep playing like this. So then let's go on to the first game Saturday, Rokkr versus Florida. Rokkr 3-0, Florida. Fame has a good series. Shows that he ain't messing around. He's here to play. Playing on LAN, like I said before, I want to see Rokkr play online in a qualifier against another team just to see how they play online because they go 2-0 at their own home series LAN, but I think the real test is playing without your fans and online. So that was a good match. I think Florida had a couple good ones, but they didn't look very good. And then second game, we got Breach versus Ultra. Boston Breach looked pretty solid here. They almost got reverse swept. They lost that control, and then they got 3-1 in the control, or 3-0'd. Thought I wrote it down. I did not. But 3-1 or 3-0'd, and then Ultra come off and win that map 4 hardpoint, which is expected. If you lose that control, I think it's hard to bounce back in that fourth map and take that fourth one. But Boston are able to reel it in and take game 5. Boston did look really dominant in their first 2 matches. It was 6-4 in that map 2 S&D, but the slang department out of Boston was way higher than Ultra, and Ultra just didn't look good in that first hardpoint. And I think they had a rough map 4 off that loss, and that was Ultra's best hardpoint map, I believe, is Hydro. They looked unbeatable on that. Surge did take that one off of them in a Hydro hardpoint in their series, but that still looks to be Ultra's best map. So Ultra go 0-2 this weekend. Oh wait, I haven't made it their second match. Whoops, sorry. And then LAG versus Rokkr. Rokkr looked really great here in LAG looked good. Their first map. Joe Deceives drops 38. 2 and 3 were close, and then Rokkr take a big map 4. They lost Rokkr beat LAG like 250 to 140 on Mercado. So that's bad, but LAG, I think they're just in a tough spot because if I was an LAG player, I'd be wanting to play for stats and show everybody that I deserve to be on a team. And I think the only person guaranteed a spot on that team or guaranteed a future spot on another team is Arcides, because Arcides is very proven, very big veteran, been around for a while, proven that he's a good AR. The other 3 guys have Assault's been around for a while. Joe Deceives is a rookie, and Exceed they could show up, but I don't think that the Assault, Exceed, or Joe Deceives are guaranteed a spot on another organization. So I think if I was LAG, I'd be playing for stats. I'd want to show another team that I deserve to be on their team. Not that LAG shouldn't win anything, but it feels tough that I would want to win anything if I were there. So I understand why they're struggling and where they're at. And then map 4, this is my key pick of the day, and I got it wrong. Thieves versus Surge. Thieves 3-1. The Surge. Surge take the control, but Thieves look really good in hardpoint. They lose. Thieves take a close S&D. It was either 6-4 or 6-5, but Thieves had Surge's number in hardpoint. It was 250 to 186 on Hydro and 250 to 159 on Embassy, which are close games because that's like 1 or 2 hills if you think about it. But if a team is getting a full 60 on a hill and you're not, that's kind of rough. And I think what Thieves did here was they were able to slow Pred down. He had an average kind of series. He didn't look like the superstar that he is. And I think if teams are able to do that, then Pred doesn't have much help. That people can pick up the slack where he goes down. So I think Pred is just so far ahead of his team, skill-wise, not skill-wise, but like star power-wise. Pred is their main slayer, that keeps people off the hill, doing stuff, going crazy. And if you're able to slow him down, accuracy, Sib, they're good ARs, but they don't have very much. They're not dashy or scrappy where they're like star ARs. And Mac's a pretty average SMG, so he's not very consistent. And I think Surge have an issue that Pred might leave. So they got to step up and pick up the slack when Pred isn't performing to try and keep him there. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So let's go to the next. Surge versus Ultra was the first map Sunday. Surge looked really, really good in this series. A big bounce back after losing to Thieves not 24 hours prior. Ultra do almost reverse sweep again, so they almost reverse swept in both their series. But Seattle closes it out in that game 5, defeat the defending champs. The match looked pretty even. Ultra 3-0'd in the control, but Surge take a Hydro hardpoint off of them. So that's a big, big win for Surge. Take their best hardpoint map. Control, I think Ultra's the best control team, so I'd favor them in any control match, any map, any team. Ultra over everybody. So that's not unexpected for Ultra to win the control. But they did look pretty unbeatable. I mean, they ended Optic's hardpoint streak, and they ended FaZe's S&D streak. So they looked at the major. So they looked pretty unbeatable, and they start off 0-2. So I don't know if that means the Hixie honeymoon phase is over, or if they just had a rough go of it this weekend. They're not too rough because they lost both series 3-2, almost reverse swept 2 times, but they don't win. So they're still a good team. They just need to close out games, which they've shown they can do. But Ultra, I think, are not in trouble. They're not in trouble by any means. They're still second place in the standings. They're in a fine spot. They had a rough weekend. So Surge could definitely climb out of 7th place if they keep winning. And Ultra could definitely fall, but not very far. Ultra, FaZe, those teams are not falling out of top 8. And then next game we have Optic versus London. This was a game that was hosted by the CDL for a week 1 Major 4 qualifiers. And it was one of the quickest series I think I've ever watched. I don't know if that's true, but it felt like that. Optic wins 250-68 in that first Fortress hardpoint. They win 6-2, I believe, in that second S&D, and then they win 3-1 on that Expo Control, which means London won 1 round in Control and 2 rounds in Search. They look lost. I mean, they look like a team, like a ranked team, like message Optic and was like talking crap to him, and was like, and Optic was like, okay, we'll play you then, and they just destroyed them. They got dumpstered. That was rough. 68 points in a pro match, and I think London has the bottom 4 records. Like the 4 worst hardpoint four worst hardpoint scores in the CDL. So they got manhandled both games. That was a rough one to watch, and I think London is stuck where they are, and I think Optic is in ascension mode. Optic is only getting better. So keep an eye on Optic. They might be able to, if they win Major 4 or 5, they'll climb to number 1, I think. I think Hook and Shotzi are playing on the same level, which is amazing. If they're able to do that and play together, and they both play, like a top 1, Shotzi number 1, Hook number 2 SMG in the league, I don't think anybody's beating Optic. Dashy's obviously one of the best ARs in the league. Ghosty's showing improvement. He's doing some selfless things, holding some spawns. His stats don't look great, but I think he's an impactful member of that team. His stats just don't reflect that. But yeah, Optic just in ascension mode. So watch out for Optic because they are coming for that top spot. And then last game of the day, we have FaZe versus Florida because this is a tricky one because FaZe looked like they were struggling out there against Florida a little bit. They lose an S&D to Florida, which it went to round 11, so it could have gone either way. But you don't want your team, the best S&D team in the league, basically, in recent memory, to go to round 11 with a bottom 4 team. Because, like in every other sport, people complain about refs or game was close, it could have gone either way. Like, well, if you're that good, you shouldn't have let it get to round 11 and let it you can't let it get that close and give the other team an opportunity to win. Because when it's 5-5, any team can win that round, and FaZe let them get that close. So that's their fault. Florida also took that first hard point, which was hotel hard point, which is very surprising, off of FaZe. Pretty handedly, actually. They lose the control. They lose S&D number 2, or then lose FaZe. Sorry, FaZe lost hard point, wins it, or I'm confused now. But they won that. FaZe won that control. They lose Embassy hardpoint. That's what it is. I'm got my maps confused. They lost map 4 hardpoint. So they won the first hardpoint map. Yeah. Okay. A few moments in that control. The control is what I want to highlight the most because FaZe looked beatable in that control. I know they won 3-0, but Florida fumbled a couple big pushes. And Fellow had 6 kills the entire map, which doesn't help. But FaZe got broken on A on I think one of the first 2 rounds, and they went 3 or 4. They went 3 down, and then their 4th player got 2 or 3 kills and stopped Florida from capping that point. Florida can't let that happen. They broke that point from FaZe. They were ready to take it, and they got shut down. So, and Fellow obviously has to have more than 6 kills. That's a big deal for them. FaZe could have easily lost this. I mean, they were up 5-1 in the last S&D, and up 5-1, and I think it ended 6-3. So Florida goes on a little bit of a run. So Florida could have beat them. That was looking rough for them for a minute. I was a little scared because they were up 5-1, and then Florida kind of got a little bit rolling, but they end up closing it out. So I think FaZe could very easily go either way here. They're not crumbling before our eyes or anything. They're just in a bit of a rough patch. But keep an eye on FaZe because if they keep playing like this, they're going to keep falling. But we just have to keep watching to find out. And that's all the matches today. And that's going to do it for me this lovely Tuesday evening, folks. I hope everybody has a good night, good tomorrow, and I'll be back Thursday with a new episode. So if you wouldn't mind, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you Thursday night at 8. Signing off.